Oh, there we go. Okay, awesome. All right, so over the last 20 years, first running my own agency and now a holding company of specialized agencies, I've had hundreds of conversations with agency founders. And these are agencies of different sizes, different specialties, even from different countries. So they could be small shops, global firms, and everything in between. And I've observed a common pattern along the way, especially in the smaller firms, but also in some larger ones. The founder is often the entire business development operation. And they're doing what they call BD, but what they're actually doing is 5 separate jobs at once. Okay, so hi, I'm Peter Kang. I'm based in Hudson Valley. It's a couple hours outside of New York City. Who's been to New York City, by the way? Yeah. All right. So I'm very excited to be here with you all at flowConf. First time in Serbia as well. Okay, so I co-founded a web agency called Barrel back in 2006, so come up on 20 years, while living in New York City. It's a picture of me in my Queens apartment, my first office. And yeah, we work with a wide range of brands from big tech companies to popular consumer brands. And yeah, we had a lot of fun launching websites and working on interesting campaigns. I led the agency for 18 years before handing it over to a successor. And eventually I was able to scale beyond my agency, and a CEO took over. And over the last few years, I've been building Barrel Holdings, which is my holding company that acquires and grows specialized agencies. As of today, we have 6 agencies in our portfolio. Their focuses range from building websites on Shopify to helping brands on Amazon to even doing lead gen for home services companies. I also run a website called Agency Habits, agencyhabits.com, and it's a resource for agency leaders. And my co-founder, Sewuk, and I, we also have a podcast where we talk about agency topics. So we're real nerds about agency business model, and yeah, if you want to dive deep into it, please check out our podcast. And one more promo. Last year, I published a book called The Holdco Guide, which is a primer on designing your own holding company. So, if any of you have aspirations or already have multiple business entities, this is a helpful playbook that I put together just from my own research and my process of putting the holding company together. So that's me, an agency founder who now works with a portfolio of agencies to help them scale. Okay, so today's focus, and given my experience, I want to talk about why so many agency founders get stuck at the same place and what I've watched the ones who get unstuck actually do. Okay, so show of hands, how many are agency founders? Let's see. All right, my people. Okay, and how many of you find this image relatable? Right? So we're all juggling stuff, right? Multiple things at a time. So client deadlines, overseeing employees, needing to land new projects, managing the finances. It's endless, right? It's tiring. And then what often happens, right? One of the balls gets really big, right? A client gets angry, an employee quits, or you have some compliance issue with the government. I think we're dealing with some of this right now. It sucks, right? And then what happens to the other stuff, right? The balls literally get dropped. You have to, solve that pressing problem, and yeah, like all the other stuff gets put on pause. So if you've experienced this, please raise your hand. I want to see, is it relatable, right? Okay. All right, so let's go back to this juggling image. And the thing I want to talk to you about today is that business development itself is a juggling act. Business development itself is really complex, and when an agency founder handles all of business development alone, they're literally juggling 5 different jobs. So let's talk about the 5 jobs of business development. And this is the way we've broken it down, and the way we talk about it internally across our agencies. So first, there's marketing, which is all about reaching the right audience, staying top of mind. This might be through content, events, podcasts, etc. And then there's partnerships. So this is the ecosystem relationship. How many of you make Webflow websites? I'm guessing a lot of you, right? So that's a big partnership that we're all aware of. But this is about partnering with the right folks, sharing leads, doing campaigns together, and then pitching to the same audience. And then there's outbound, right? Cold prospecting to your ICP. So this is like sending outbound emails, LinkedIn messages, direct mail, cold calls. So this is like to generate appointments and leads. And then there's the sales process, which itself is a beast, right? You qualify the leads, you got to do a discovery call, you got to go make a proposal, and then negotiate the contract. So this is it's a lot of stuff in there as well. And then there's account growth. And this is the expansion of existing clients. Don't forget, business development also includes the clients you already have. You can develop business with them. And so we're talking here about 5 functions, 5 different rhythms, 5 different skill sets. And in many agencies, unfortunately, and many of you are probably very aware of this, it lives inside one person. And the same thing happens here too, right? When you focus on one, the rest get dropped. So, how many times, you're like, all right, I'm finally getting my marketing going, creating content, I'm sending some emails out, posting on LinkedIn, and then all of a sudden, this RFP comes for this really cool project, and then you're like, crap, I gotta drop everything, I gotta, get the team together and start working on this deal, right? I gotta write the proposal, I gotta do the research, put the presentation together, rehearse, right? And then all of a sudden, what happens? The other stuff gets dropped. And this is, the marketing gets paused, maybe you ghost your partners, maybe the outbound campaigns don't go out anymore. So this is a real reality that I've seen from my convos with agency founders. And this is the funny thing. Whenever, so many times this comes up over and over again. And actually, I've been guilty of it myself. So when agency founders try to solve this problem, they go right to being like, hey, I need to hire a head of business development. I need to hire a head of growth. I need to hire a head of revenue. And what they actually are looking for is another version of themselves, right? Someone who shows up and can generate leads, close deals, posts on LinkedIn, expands the accounts, and wakes up thinking about the agency. Guess what? We all know this person doesn't exist, and definitely not for the low base salary and the commissions that you're likely to offer them. So the thing is, the reason that you as an agency founder can do all the 5 things is that you have been kind of forged in fire, right? You've been built on this intense all or nothing moments, and then so you have the relationships, you have the judgment, you've definitely got the credibility and the context. So imagine you interview somebody and you're like, hey, these are all the things I need you to do as head of BD. What are they going to say? They're going to be like, yeah, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. And then so you hire them, and then guess what? 3 months later, the pipeline is dry. You're like, crap, our business is in trouble. You're getting pulled back into BD, and at that point, you're like, hey, this isn't working out. I watched this so many times, even within our portfolio too, that it's almost a law that we kind of tell ourselves. Stop. There is no other you. That's actually there's no other you as a founder who's going to operate the same way you do in your business. And so stop trying to replicate yourself, right? Take the 5 jobs apart instead. So you give up being okay at the 5 things, but then you have a chance to be amazing at the 1 or 2 things, while a small team gets very good at the rest. So where to start? All right, so if you embrace the fact that there are 5 different jobs, there's an order I recommend you try to build capacity. So this may not be applicable to in the exact order to everyone, but it's a starting point. And I want you to kind of take it as a way to embrace this framework. So let's dive in. Okay, so the first place I'd suggest tackling is account growth. Right, this is what we call low-hanging fruit. So this is you have trust with someone who's already a client. The relationship's already there. It's also the cheapest and fastest type of revenue available to most agencies. And so, first of all, it only works if you have actual services designed for long-term relationships. Many of us are project-based agencies, right? You do a project and you move on to the next client to the project. And so it's very important to design for this. So our Weflo agency, BX Studio, we had this challenge as well. In the early days, we were just, shipping websites month in and month out, right? So we try to do as many websites as possible for as many clients. But over time, we realized they have other needs. They need our help optimizing the website. They need to help, especially with the AI search, AEO, some SEO. They need to help with making sure the analytics were good. Localization, that's another thing that's been popping up. So it's like, how could we kind of package this into some kind of ongoing, recurring revenue retainer type of service, and then go from there? So that is account growth. And the nice thing about this is you don't have to hire for it. You actually likely have resources within, whether it's your account managers or project managers. It's about training them. It's about incentivizing them with the right commission and bonus structure. And then from there, getting them to expand the accounts. So that's number one, highest leverage. The second sequence I tackle is partnerships. And first you have to start by identifying your key partners. So not every partner is equal. This is the common mistake is people go, oh, you want to be a partner? Here's a mutual referral agreement. I'll send you 10% if you send me a deal, and then you never talk to them again, right? But this is about going deep, finding someone who has the exact same target. The ICP is the same, and it's not aspirational. It's real. Like they really work with these clients and understand them. And then it's maybe 2, 3, 4 partners at most. And then understanding where it fits in the ecosystem. So many of us are in the Webflow ecosystem, but guess what? It doesn't have to be just Webflow. Great partner they can be, but you might work with, let's say, HubSpot, and maybe some of your clients are also there, so you might be a partner in that program. Or you might also work with a branding agency or a content studio, and just be their partner and go to market together, sell together, do different kind of things at events together. So there's a lot of opportunities. And to do this, you need to bring someone in whose job is to deepen those relationships, right? Because if you're too founder dependent on this, those relationships are hard to nurture and deepen. And so I think, when I look at one of our agencies, Vaulted Oak, they do a great job. They're a web development shop, and most of their work comes from other agencies. So their go-to-market is partnerships. We got a guy who's dedicated to just becoming friends with agencies, being a great resource for them. And these are branding studios or marketing shops that need web development from time to time. And from there, we've gotten over 50% of the revenue comes from those channels. The third one is marketing. So we talked about marketing staying top of mind. And the nice thing about marketing is it's a one-to-many kind of a leverage point where you create content, you give a talk, or you do a podcast, and you could reap the benefits of that reaching many people, right? But number one, first of all, you have to have a unique point of view and a voice, and so this is where the agency founder still needs to be involved. They need to make sure that you're differentiated, you're saying things that are interesting and going to appeal to the right target audience, and then you want to be disciplined about the channels. You don't want to show up everywhere, but the thing where the opportunity here is to build a system where marketing only works if you show up consistently, right? You can't just post on social, a couple times, go away for months, and then do it again, right? You stay top of mind because you consistently show up in that channel. And so this is an opportunity to delegate. You could bring in a content writer or somebody who's managing your social channel or somebody who's helping you produce your podcast. So there's a lot of opportunity for marketing to be delegated and to build systems around it. Okay, got 2 more. So outbound, I've watched so many agencies start here, and almost all of them waste a ton of money. And it's not because outbound doesn't work. It's because a lot of them are doing cold outreach without positioning, without messaging, and without the case studies. And agencies that tend to make outbound work usually have all that in place. So a quick call out is on our Agency Habits website. There's a foundation.agencyhabits.com. You could go there. You could pop in your agency and the URL, and then it'll kind of give you some basics of how you can improve your positioning. And so if positioning is sharp, then the outbound starts to look different. You can go with a much sharper message. Your targeting is so much better. And this is the point at which you can bring in some help as well. You as a founder don't need to be the one, in clay trying to enrich the list or, trying to figure out how to, make sure the emails are getting delivered. You could, hire an outbound agency. You could work with a specialist, a go-to-market engineer, RevOps specialist. And, this is where you can gain that leverage and do it the proper way. All right, and this brings us to sales. And I think this is, anybody watch Glengarry Glen Ross Classic? Okay, cool. Actually, yeah, love this scene. But sales is itself a beast, right? There's a lot of stuff that goes into sales, and I think this is one place where the founder should hold on to a lot of it because credibility matters in sales. And when we look at what sales entails, it's all this stuff, right? It's the research and prep, qualification, scoping, proposal writing, closing, convos, contract negotiations. So you don't need to own every one of them, right? You can definitely focus on where you have the greatest impact. So for founders, that's the closing convos, the contract negotiations, and then the rest can be done by others. And then in some cases, right, you can be careful and like let the person, let someone else beside you take that to close. And across our agencies, we've seen this play out where we've brought in some people to kind of tackle the qualification part, and then slowly the scoping part. And now some of our CEOs, they don't have to be on most of the deals. It just gets closed without them. And the nice thing is they only get pulled in when it's like a really kind of custom kind of a situation, or it's a huge client and their presence would make a difference. But I think 80% of opportunities can really run without the founder. And I think with that, you're gaining more leverage and you're able to focus on the bigger picture for your agency. Okay, so most founders I talk to assume that scaling business development requires hiring all these people at big salaries, and the first thing I might hear is, I can't afford that. It just sounds too expensive. And I think the nice thing about just if you accept the 5 jobs is that these things can be tackled fractionally and with part-time resources. So it could be a part-time content editor who just keeps the LinkedIn post going, right? It could be a partnerships lead who works 10 hours a week. It could be an outbound contractor that we talked about to manage your outbound campaigns. It could be an account manager who's already in your business. So all of these things, no unicorns. You're just looking for specialists who, if you give them the opportunity, you give them the directive, and you hire well, can do that one thing really well instead of you trying to just do all of them kind of half-assed. Okay, so many agency founders make the mistake of seeing BD as a cost. Okay, so they say, hey, why take on all that overhead? I got me, and I got 6 designers and 5 developers, and we're good. I can keep it lean and just do it all myself. And then they proceed to complain about not having enough pipeline. It's a feast and famine cycle. Or a lot of things I hear is like, hey, I want to stay small. But I think if you treat business development as an investment, right? This is your way of creating a more predictable pipeline and a more durable business. And at Barrel Holdings, this is what we strive for. Like a lot of the things that we're doing with our own agencies is just this. Like, hey, how do you make pipeline predictable, the business more durable? And guess what? The 5 functions that we talked about, the 5 jobs, they're already running at your agency, but they're running inside one person, right? And so the work is to take them apart, decide which one to externalize first, based on how you actually make money, and then build that capacity outside of you. Okay, one function at a time. Don't have to do it all at once. So, like we said before, don't look for another you because there isn't one. Instead, build the machine. All right, thank you.